What's up, you guys? Welcome back. Today I'm headed to a friend's house for a home game. It's going to be a tournament. You guys haven't seen me play here yet, but I just played here this past Sunday. I bought in with $100 and I walked out with $1,230 coming in first place. So they do have some really good games here and they give a lot of action, so it should be good. And I'm going to vlog it all this time, so hopefully we can do good again. So let's see how it all plays out. I'll catch you guys at the table. First off, I want to mention that the quality of the video is a bit low because it was dark in the room and I had to change the brightness. So I apologize in advance. But let's get into the action. We're starting off this tournament six-handed because there's 13 entries so far and we need to play 2 tables until we're down to 9 players. I'm dealt 2 red 6s on the button. It's limped around to me and I pump it up to 300. Looking back on this clip now, I'm realizing I should have made a more aggressive raise to about 600 considering the amount of callers in the blinds. But it's all good. Small blind, low jack, and hijack all make the call. We're going 4 ways to a flop. It's a terrible flop for me, so when it's checked to me, I check it back and we go to a turn, which brings me an open-ended straight draw. Small blind leads with 600, low jack folds, hijack calls, and I make the call too. 3 ways to a river, that brings a 4 club. We completely miss, but when it's checked to me, I'm thinking there's only one way to win this hand, and that's to get very aggressive and make a pot size bet of 3,000. So that's exactly what I do. They both think for a moment, wanting to make the call, but when it's all said and done, I got them both to fold and we steal the pot. Coming into the next playable hand, we get dealt ace-queen offsuit in the cutoff position. Low jack raises it to 300 and I 3-bet to 1,200, and only the low jack makes the call. We're heads up to a flop that I miss, but have 2 overs and a backdoor flush draw. It's checked around and we see a free turn card that doesn't help at all. My opponent leads with a $1,600 bet, and I make the call thinking I could spike one of my overcards or might even be ahead already. The river comes a disappointing 4 of diamonds, and he leads with a 3,000 bet. I could have the winning hand with this kind of board, but I literally only have a bluff catcher with an ace high. Any pocket pair or pair on the board beats me, so I may just be beat here and I decide to fold. Next up, we get ace-9 suited in the big blind. Low jack raises it to 1,600, and I'm thinking that's a pretty aggressive raise being the first one to act pre-flop. And I'm being hesitant considering he could have a better ace, but after it's folded to me, I make the call hoping to see some diamonds. We're heads up to a flop that's not the greatest for my hand, so I choose the passive route and check it down. He checks it with me, which is a good sign he might not have the ace here. The turn brings out a bad card completing any flush draws, so I check it down to see what he does. He leads with 2,400, and I think, let's see one more card. He could just be trying to steal it here, and maybe he will give up on the river if he doesn't have anything. The river comes with the worst possible suit, and he now bets 7,500 after my check. I just don't see how I'm winning this hand. Any club beats me or a stronger ace, calling would take half of my stack if I'm wrong, and it's just not worth the risk given how fast these blinds go up. And I don't want to be short stacked so early in the tournament. So I fold, and then he shows me the queen 9 of hearts for the sick bluff, completely destroying my life. Well played, my man, well played. Next we get dealt the premium pocket jacks on the button. The action begins with the low jack limping into the pot, but the cutoff isn't letting that slide. They raise it to 1,100, but I want to get more aggressive here being on the button, so I make my move with a 3-bet to 3,500. The small blind calls, the big blind and hijack decides to fold, but the cutoff isn't done yet. They make the call too, and 3 of us are off to the flop. The flop is great for me, and the pot is now at a fat 11,000. So when it's checked to me, I go all in for 10,400 without any hesitation. Will my aggressiveness pay off? Yes, it does, because they both fold and we take the pot down, doubling our stack, and we're now back at a starting stack, no longer fighting for our tournament life. Things are starting to heat up now, and I'm dealt ace-9 offsuit in the small blind. Hijack limps and cutoff min raises to 1,200. The button calls. Now I have a pretty good read at the table, and I believe my opponents have a weaker hand than me, But ace-9 also is not the greatest hand, so I attempt to get my opponents to fold here with the 3-bet to 5,000. They both make the call, which is not what I was hoping for, but let's see what the flop brings. It comes out pretty good for me considering I don't put my opponents on a strong ace here. Now remember, the cutoff min raised in late position, which only happens when he has mediocre hands. Usually when he has a strong hand, he's betting much higher than that. Also, the button being in late position and not 3-betting the cutoff makes me believe he doesn't have a better hand than me. So I check it down to induce a bet. That's exactly what happened. Once the action gets to the button, he makes it 5,000 to see the turn, and I call and cutoff folds. The turn brings a jack of hearts, bringing in a backdoor flush draw and a potential straight. But I know my opponent has a wide range here, so I decided to shove it all in with more than 10k, believing I have the best hand here. But don't want him getting lucky on the river without paying to see it. He makes a snap call showing us a pair of aces with a 4 kicker. The river comes out of blank and he tells me he thought he had a better hand with our check on the flop. We take down another massive pot and it's starting to look good for us as we now have a double starting stack. In our next playable hand, we run into pocket 10s and the hijack. It's folded to me and I raise it just over 3x the big blind, which is 2,500. Small blind is the only caller and we're heads up to a flop that comes with bottom set. We love to see that, but this board does bring in a potential straight, although I'm not putting him on ace king or 8-9 given the pre-flop action. After he checks it to me, I bet almost full pot with 5,000. He makes a snap call, which is pretty interesting. The turn brings in a flush draw, but I'm not too worried about that. He checks it again and I bet 10k and he makes another snap call. The river brings a 9, which is just a terrible card for me considering it's only one card for a straight now. My opponent leads this time with an all-in bet of 13,900, and that's just terrible for me. I just don't see what I can beat here that he would be going all in with other than a bluff. I don't think he would be shoving with a 1 pair or 2 pair, and I definitely don't put him on a worse set than me. The only thing I can see him doing this with is a made straight, so I make the fold and he shows his king jack offsuit for the made straight on the river. Very unlucky river for us, but it was a great fold. We're still 6-handed and it's limped to me in the cutoff. I look down at pocket 7s. I now have a short stack and everyone is calling 3x or 4x raises pretty light, so I decided to shove it all in and try to go heads up with someone or just take down the pot pre-flop. It's folded around and we take down an easy profit of 5,000. We're now 5-handed and hijack is first to act, who min raises to 4,000. Cutoff makes the call and small blind follows with a call. I'm last to act in the big blind and I'm thinking there's way too many people in this hand. And with only 20 big blinds or so, I decided to shove it all in. Everyone folds to me and we're okay with that, taking down a 12,000 profit. Alright, we made it to the final table and there's 7 people remaining. The big blinds are starting to get crazy and everyone is becoming short stacked. It's time to start getting aggressive because I only have about 46,000 chips left. I shove it in under the gun position with ace 7 of heart and low jack makes the call. It's folded to the big blind, who shows he has ace king offsuit but ends up making the fold. We lucked up on that fold. We flip over our cards and my opponent shows us pocket 5s. Not too bad, but the big blind did fold one of our outs.
5s versus a7.
That way you going to be so. King. What I told you.
The board runs out bad for us and we lose the pot. Good thing he was short stacked, but we still lost 24,000 chips, leaving us with only 3 big blinds and a dream. About 1 orbit went around and now we're left with just under 3 big blinds in the small blind with ace 10 of diamonds. Low jack makes it 16,000 and we shove all in with about 25,500. Big blind folds, so we get some easy money in the pot there.
25,500 total.
That's a nice one. For real. Yeah,
Mexico.
Run them all, Kevo.
Alright, ace 10, what you got? Nice hand, give me a 10. There it is. There it is.
Get in.
Thank you.
That.
Blinds doubled and we're still short stacked. It's folded around to me in the cutoff with ace-jack offsuit, and I go all in with the big blind calling with only about 35,000 left behind.
Turn them up. Let's see them.
What you got?
You want a song? Tournament.
Let's see it.
Nah, he got me.
Ace-jack versus
I had an
ace-9.
ace too though.
Jack in the window.
I had it with ace over here.
I'm out.
Good game, man. Let's get to the action where I wake up with pocket queens in the small blind. It's folded to me and I decided to lay a trap and limp into this pot, hoping big blind would connect with a small pair or something and I can get value from it or to entice a bluff. After I limp, he checks it. The flop comes out with some draws, but him being in the big blind, he could have any two cards and I'm not really worried, so I check it to him and he bets 20,000. I call. The turn comes a 7 of spade. I check to set the trap and he bets 30,000. Alright, it's time for me to stop slow playing this because the board is super wet and I also don't want to see any overcards on the river. So I shove it and he snap folds. We take down a massive pot for more than 100,000 and we're starting to make a wild comeback from our short stack earlier. Although I will say I have about 150,000 now, but the blinds just went up to 16,000, 32,000. So we're still playing short stacked with less than 5 big blinds. Small blind shoves, 40,000 all day. Already got 32,000 in. I gotta make the call. 8,000 more. He shows 9-7. I showed 3-7. Got hit 3. 4 diamonds. Diamond. Got it. Nice one. The next playable hand, we look down at ace-jack suited. I shove it all in, being first to act in the cutoff with only 6 big blinds remaining. It's folded around to the big blind who's already all in with exactly 32,000. So we're heads up to the run out. Big blind's already all in with 32,000 for the blind.
Hey.
Tommy.
Damn, bro.
What you have, king, queen?
Bought it.
How do you not call there with that hand?
We're now 3-handed and it's folded to me in the small blind. With 5 big blinds remaining, I decide to shove all in with ace-8 offsuit. I'm all in. He calls. Flip it. Probably got me beat. Alright, ace-8. Ace-3.
Damn, I had jack 9.
I got you covered.
Fuck the fucking money. Yeah.
We made it to the final 2 players and now in the money, let's go. We grinded our short stack all the way up and made a crazy comeback. My opponent asked if I want to split the pot down the middle, but I respectfully declined considering we gotta go all the way for the vlog. We ended up deciding on first place getting $1,250 and second place getting $1,000. So we're basically playing for $250 in first place bragging rights. About 5 minutes go by before I shove with 8-5 suited and he makes me call, having me covered and dominated with king jack off.
20, 30, 40.
There's a 5, that's all I need. Let's go with the diamonds. I got a flush. That wraps up the tournament. I ended up coming in first place and I walked out there with $1,230. I bought in with $150, so that is about $1,100 profit, just under that. So huge come up today, you guys, and I'm in the profit this vlog series, so we're starting off pretty good. Hope you guys enjoyed the content and see you guys on the next one.